Oh, you asked that girl out on a date? Ha! Simp. Oh, you said hi to a girl you passed by today in the hallway? Psh, what a simp. You said Happy Mother's Day to your mom? Bruh, why you simpin'? If you've spent any time on the internet at all over the past few months, there's a good chance you've been called a simp, for absolutely no reason. Honestly, it's pretty funny to see how that word has become such a part of internet lingo and gets thrown around so often these days that it's kind of lost its meaning. Kinda like that "okay boomer" phrase that was hot a few months back. Today's video isn't one that I normally do, but seeing as how I'm in the dating niche, I've been getting a lot of guys running around in the comments throwing around the word simp. And at first it was funny, but then it eventually got a bit annoying, especially when people would use the word in situations that literally made no sense. So, what is a simp? Urban Dictionary defines it as a man that places himself in a subservient or submissive position under the hopes of winning them over without the female bringing anything to the table. Now, this is completely valid. Unfortunately, there are dudes that act like this. Maybe it might even be you. Truth is, I remember kind of being like this too myself when I was younger. I remember times when I had crushes on girls and thought that the only way to get her to like me was to be really nice to her. I was needy, clingy, and I'd go out of my way to appease girls to try getting a girlfriend. And if you do recognize any simp tendencies in yourself, it might not be your fault. Maybe you were raised by a super feminist household, or you consumed a lot of media growing up, teaching you that you needed to be her polite Prince Charming. But it is something you need to recognize as a very unattractive trait that makes women respect you less. So with all that being said, it's very important to note the difference between a simp and just a normal dude who's taking initiative with a girl, which by the way is what a man should be doing. Real quick by the way, if you want my free 5-page PDF on the fundamentals of attraction, check out the link in the description below. You see, a simp oozes weakness. Most of his life goals, whether getting in shape or making lots of money, is all a means to an end, and that end is finally getting a girl to like him back. Everything about his body language, his eye contact, the tone of his voice screams, "Please, can I kiss you? Will you please have sex with me? Please?" Girls can literally sense his desperation from a mile away, and it acts as a natural repellent to any decent girl. The simp is completely overboard with the favors he does with girls who haven't even done anything to deserve these favors. And I'm not talking about "oh, I'll get you a cup of coffee on my way back from Starbucks" kind of favor. I mean the "oh sure Ashley, I'll buy you this purse, I'll put it on my parents' credit card, they made me promise not to go overboard with the spending, but you're totally worth it Ashley" kind of favor. A simp has no sense of social awareness or self-awareness. He can't see himself from an outside perspective. He can't see how pathetic and weak he comes across, cause he's so desperate for a girl. A normal guy on the other hand still wants girls, and he takes the initiative to go out and meet someone, but his life doesn't revolve around a girl. He has his own goals he's working towards, things he prioritizes over the opposite sex. A normal guy is not willing to let some girl let him compromise his self-respect. He'll reject a girl from time to time if he feels he has something more important to do. Unlike the simp, who would never think to reject girls, since all he wants is to finally hold a girl in his arms. So now we've kind of differentiated what actual simps are versus normal guys who just try to better themselves through self-education and self-improvement. And I'm going to run through 3 hypothetical scenarios and we'll decide whether the guy in each situation is simping. So scenario 1. Let's say Randy matches with a girl on Bumble. Things are going well, she's actually responding, showing some interest back in him. Their conversations are actually fun and flirty, and he just has a good feeling about her. One day, between sending each other memes back and forth, he finally asks her out. He suggests they get food sometime, and maybe shoot some pool afterwards. So, is Randy a simp in this situation simply cause he made the effort to ask a girl out on a dating app? The answer is no, he is not. Because he's not putting himself in a subservient position. He's just taking the initiative to try meeting up with her since he feels some chemistry. If he were to try asking her out even though she kept ignoring him, then yes, he would be a simp in my opinion, but not in this situation. Scenario number 2. Let's say Franklin has gone out on one date with some girl he met through a friend. The date is very friendly. She doesn't outwardly show much interest in Franklin, but she still agrees on the date just to give him a chance. Throughout the date, Franklin is constantly trying to escalate things with her physically, like holding her hand, touching her waist, trying to go for a kiss, and he gets rejected every single time. When he waves her goodbye, he says, "Gee, Alyssa, I really loved hanging out with you today. You're so cool and pretty. I really hope I see you again soon." After the date, he sends her paragraphs through text detailing his love for her. She replies with 1 or 2 sentences a few hours later, to which he immediately replies with more paragraphs telling her how much fun he had, how pretty she is, and how he wants to see her again. When he finally starts to realize she's not that into him, he starts panicking and starts buying flowers to send over to her to try winning her over. This scenario was a lot more obvious, but yes, Franklin is acting like a total simp in this situation. He bends over backwards trying to appease her and get her to reciprocate his affection even though she never does. And instead of having the social awareness and realizing that she just ain't that into him, he doubles down and acts like a desperate clown. Situation number 3. Let's say Derek is on a first date with the girl. They end up getting tacos at his favorite Mexican spot, then he offers to pay for her and spends like $10 on her. Is Derek a simp in this situation? Well, the answer actually depends on the context. If Derek offered to pay, and his date initially tries to refuse like, "No, it's okay, I'll pay for my half," but he decided that, you know what, screw that, I'm the guy, I don't mind dropping $10 on a girl I like, and she shows appreciation for it, then he's not being a simp. Because Derek didn't compromise his self-image for her. He did so out of generosity, but not out of foolishness. It's much more 50-50 since she was willing to contribute as well, instead of taking advantage of his generosity. Now, let's say Derek paid for her food, and she just nonchalantly says, "Oh, cool," without really showing gratitude or appreciation for him. Then Derek just keeps on continuing to pay for his date at every opportunity, just throwing money at her to try to either impress her or get her to like him, even though it's clear as day to anyone else that she's just not that into him. In this situation, Derek is a simp, because he's not getting anything in return. It's a one-sided affair where the girl is suckering him into paying for her meals and stuff, while not seriously considering him as someone she'd date or sleep with. In this scenario, Derek is putting himself into the role of the subservient clown that hopefully thinks he'll win over his girl by doing favors for her. So hopefully now you have a better notion of what a simp is, how he thinks, and the difference between simping and normal behaviors from a guy who's just taking initiative with a girl. Moral of the story, don't be a sheep, and learn how to think for yourself. Next time someone randomly calls you a simp, don't automatically take it to heart since it's just one of those phrases that the internet turned into a buzzword. But you do have to be wary of simping, cause it is a real thing. And if you do repeatedly get people calling you a simp, then it's important to reflect on whether or not you're letting yourself being taken advantage of because of how much you like someone. That's it for today's video and hope you enjoyed it. Next week I'll have some special plans, so make sure to like, subscribe, turn on the notification bell, and as always, peace.